Dr. Paul Federoff is a professor of psychiatry and director of forensic research at the Royal Ottawa Hospital. He also co-directs a Sexual Behaviours Clinic. While some researchers focus on understanding deviant urges of sexual offenders, others focus on controlling them. Dr. Federoff believes that the urges of sexual offenders can be controlled with a variety of interventions.
There are two major categories of medication that we use in the treatment of sex offenders. The first are selective serotonergic reuptake inhibitors, which are often abbreviated as SSRIs, and these are as well known as antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications. They also seem to help in controlling abnormal sexual impulses. The other group of medications are what we call anti-androgens, and there are a number of variations on anti-androgens, but they all have the end effect of reducing the amount of testosterone in the body. And it's that group of medications that tend to be subsumed under the phrase chemical castration. The basic theory behind it was that if testosterone is a sex hormone, then a medication that would reduce testosterone might have some effect on sex offenders.
Jesse is a 29-year-old pedophile. He's been treated by Dr. Federoff for 2 years.
Hello there. Come on in.
For the past year, I've been on a medication which reduces my sexual drive to near zero. Prior to going on the medication, I was inundated with sexual deviant thoughts. After about 6 weeks, my deviant thoughts reduced to zero. It was a night and day sort of thing. And when they do come back now, I can easily push them out of my mind.
We put them on these medications, drop their sex drive down to zero, and then we help them to get into normal relationships that aren't based simply on sex, but are based on reciprocal emotional relationships that are healthy. All right, you want to just hold that for a minute? Once they're in a healthy relationship, then we stop their sex drive reducing hormones, and they end up having sexual interests, but now in a healthy relationship.
2.5 years ago, Jesse was diagnosed as a pedophile with sexually sadistic tendencies.
My girlfriend was my first sexual encounter when I was 19, and she had a daughter. Shortly after my mother's death, I started abusing the daughter. It happened in total 3 or 4 times. The daughter eventually went to the police, and I was charged with several counts: sexual exploitation, invitation to sexual touching, and sexual assault.
Jesse was placed under house arrest, but it wasn't long before he started looking for a second victim.
My girlfriend was my neighbor. My neighbor on the other side was my second victim. So my 2 victims were my neighbors.
During a routine interview with the police, Jesse's second offense was revealed. He was sentenced to 17 months in prison and underwent psychiatric testing. Jesse agreed to a radical course of treatment, chemical castration.
Since starting the chemical castration program, I've learned that sexual thoughts and sexuality in general is just overrated. I don't need it. I don't miss it.
For some pedophiles, a chemical castration drug isn't enough. 60-year-old David chose a more drastic and more permanent course of action.
I don't think I was ever capable of an intimate relationship before the castration. All my life, I've kept my sexuality a secret. I think that's part of growing up. You know, you feel that if people really knew what it was like, especially later when I was older and I was attracted to these teenage boys, I always felt nobody would like me. I mean, everybody would hate me. And I hated myself, obviously.
The objects of David's homosexual fantasies became the altar boys in his congregation.
I was at the point where I was contemplating suicide, and then I came to the Ottawa hospital. I was diagnosed as a homosexually pedophile. I'm attracted to teenage boys. I knew it was wrong. I wanted to stop. I couldn't. From the very onset, it was wonderful. I felt I was in control. For the first time in my life, I felt free. At the end of 2 years, I decided that I wanted to be permanent. I wanted to be physically castrated. Do I believe that I'm cured? It's a good question, because I think in a sense that an alcoholic who doesn't drink, is he cured?